Hi, welcome to the program. Rupal is joining with us today to discuss about CSR activities in deep because we had an article from her early in our first magazine, as well as we had an interview with her as well. Rupali, thank you for being with us. So, how are you doing?
Hi, Christopher. First of all, thank you for having me over here. I'm doing good, and I hope the first article has helped the readers. And I'm hoping that second article will take them a step further.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's what even our expectation is to companies, to business firms, professionals to give their attention to CSR activities and get the maximum use out of it. So, Upali, let's get into our interview today. Uh,
Sure.
what's the requirement of a sustainable CSR program for a business organization?
Uh, the biggest requirement for the sustainable CSR program is the commitment to continue it further. That is the most important thing, and why it is important requirement as the person as the organization who is doing it should get the maximum out of it at the end of the day. They should consider it as an investment made to finally achieve what has been desired or planned objectives.
Mhm. And most of the business organizations do their CSR activities based on their extra money. That's mean when they're doing their budgeting, they are reserving money for everything. So whatever leftovers, they try to put to a CSR approach and try to get it some kind of a help to their marketing or branding work. So
Right.
what's the issue of this? Is it a good approach?
um, I think in large part or in majority countries, as we see, the trends are very different when it comes to corporate social responsibility. So people do it for tax benefits, or even organization do it for tax benefits, and that's why they reserve it. Or there are certain countries where organizations are more consumer oriented, and they have already thought through like why they are doing it, and then they use that money in that particular way. Now, in India, that was the case till 2013. Since
Mhm.
2013, it's no more about if you have kept extra money or not. It is now become a rule where you have to keep 2%, you have to utilize 2% of your profits
Mhm.
for CSR. So everywhere the approach is different. Now, what's the issue with this approach is that if you're looking at it as an extra money which you're giving away, say for tax benefits or say because you want to feel good,
Mhm.
are you really investing that extra money strategically? Because at the end of the day, every money which is invested should help someone,
Mhm.
people, organization, and in a larger context, when it comes to corporates, for them every rupee matters, right? So having said that, rather than looking at it as an extra money approach, they should rather probably look at it as how well they can invest that money, or where it can go in which pockets, and how better the results can be for the beneficiaries as well as for the organizations.
Mhm.
I think the organizations, and I think that is what we have highlighted in our article also, about
Mhm.
how you can design a strategic CSR and why you should design a strategic CSR. So the approach, rather it's a very casual approach using extra money. It's
Mhm.
like as if you're doing a charity, you have to do something, you're doing it, or writing a check away. It's as simple as that.
Mhm.
Rather than that, it would be better if there is a more focused approach.
Is it must to have the connection of the CSR program and the product or service of the business is engaging in? If it's a soap manufacturing company, do you
Mhm.
think there should be a relation between soap and how to use, or maybe relation to hygiene, or can they do extremely different thing from what they are doing, engaging as a business and what they do as a CSR activity?
Again, we go back to our first question, right? The second question that you asked. The reason is, how will this help organization? It's the most important thing. So CSR is done usually, the first and foremost requirement is consumer acquisition.
Mhm.
Okay. if you are doing a strategic CSR, your first immediate marketing consequence is consumer acquisition.
Mhm.
So if you're looking at it from that perspective, maybe you need to look at the causes which really matter to your consumer. Now that if you look at it from that perspective, maybe your products and services go into a backdrop and the causes that your consumer support becomes the forefront, right? So it is not related whether it is related, CSR is related to your products or services. It could be. There are very beautiful examples. For example, a US based organization called as Salesforce,
Mhm.
they have a very widely accepted model which they have allowed even other organizations to use, that is 1:1:1. Now this triple one model says what you can use one. So what they do is 1% of their product, 1% of their profit, and 1% of their employee time. Now what they have done is they have engaged their services, they have engaged their profits for the causes which really matter to their consumer, and they have also engaged their employees, which is another marketing consequence of doing a CSR, that is a talent acquisition. So it could be related to your products or services, it could not be related. It's not a must thing. You have to more look at it from the perspective what matters to your consumers,
Mhm.
or if it comes to your employee talent acquisition, what matters to the young millennials now, right? If you focus more on that, it will be easier, and then your products and services can work very subtly behind. But then there are certain products which has a very good impact on a beneficiary. So I'm not talking about the daily use products, but I'm talking about the innovations which could change the world, right?
Mhm.
So that kind of innovation can actually become part of the CSR program.
Mhm.
So it differs based on like what you're doing, what organization it is, and what's the larger goal.
Okay. Now, normally business organizations, they are checking their performance, they are analyzing it,
Right,
whether it's financially or maybe marketing purpose. But when you
right.
come to CSR activity, how a company could measure their performance?
Okay. So CSR performance is usually evaluated, and it's evaluated through the means of impact assessment. Okay. So basically what you do is you have a program plan and you are monitoring it at every interval.
Mhm.
Okay. A regular monitoring happens, and at the end of the program there is an impact assessment of what were the goals of the program and what it has achieved. So that's one way of measuring whether your CSR has done impactful job. Okay.
Mhm.
Now this is one dynamics. The another dynamics of whether the CSR performance was good was
Mhm.
you have kind of your CSR was planned in alignment with your marketing and sustainability strategy. Now that means your CSR also has marketing KPIs, key
Mhm.
performance indicators, right? So in that scenario, it is also necessary to evaluate from market studies whether your CSR has performed well, based on like whether whatever the KPIs were aligned with it, were they achieved. So that is how businesses actually do check CSR performance. I mean, whether it was worth investing in this particular program and aligning it with marketing.
Mhm.
So that is being checked right now.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what are the best ways of collaboration to do a CSR program for a business organization?
Okay. Again, there could the thing is CSR. I was talking to someone recently, and that's what I was talking to them about. That CSR is not an independent entity. It has always been associated with marketing or with human resource or with the sustainability department. So it has always been, the CSR has never been an independent kind of entity. It has always been aligned with some or the other departments. So it has always, because everybody used to think that it is an adjunct additional
Mhm.
part.
Mhm.
Now the way the globally trends are moving, the way we are moving towards net zero, right,
Mhm.
or circular economy, the way economy is moving from being linear to circular, the CSR is becoming coming at the core of it, at the center of it.
Mhm.
Okay. So when we say that, it means if you are at the center of something, you are supposed to collaborate. Whether you are aligned with something, then still you have to collaborate. That means a CSR program can work better in collaboration. Now, what
Mhm.
could be the collaboration? It could be internal buy-ins and external buy-ins, right? So a collaboration with a good, say, NGO partner, because
Mhm.
they understand the beneficiary better than anyone else, right? A good program design partner. So it could be like some people like us, right? The CSR
Mhm.
consultants. Then another aspect is, so these are the technical collaborations I'm talking about, but other
Mhm.
than it can also collaborate with institutes, universities. These are the technical collaborations. The other kind of collaboration could be the funding collaboration, right?
Mhm.
The thing is, there are certain organizations, and this is happening, by the way. There are certain organizations who are bigger in size. What they do is they have set up their foundations, so they kind of encourage uh, their smaller suppliers and partners to actually engage in their CSR program, because
Mhm.
a small amount can create only so much impact, but a
Mhm.
larger amount can create a widespread impact and actually give you a more sustainable program. Because
Yeah.
if you have a small amount of money, you will commit only for a year, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But a larger amount of money can be committed to a particular project for, say, 3 years or for 5 years, right? For
Mhm.
real transformation to happen. So this could be another aspect. Then there are collaborations, especially in COVID. You have seen the collaborations where many companies, corporates collaborated together to
Mhm.
bring about a change. In fact, I stay in Bangalore, in India. So
Mhm.
in Bangalore, Bangalore was known as Lake City, but no, now the lakes are not very existent. So for they're fighting for their existentials, right?
Mhm.
Existence. So many corporates are collaborating with the municipal government to actually park their some amount of CSR funding to work on lake conservation.
Mhm.
So these kind of there are many ways of collaboration which can take place.
Okay. So how about the involvement of media in CSR program?
They are very important.
Mhm.
They are very important because I believe, having said, whether you say it explicitly or whether it is an implicit, but whether it's NGO doing the social work or an individual doing, or whether it's a corporate doing, everybody wants a branding. Right? And when it comes that everybody wants branding, then media is at the core of it, right? But apart from that, the thing is, there is one aspect that you have done the program, and to create awareness around that program, you are engaging media with you, right?
Mhm.
Another is to keep people informed about what your organization is doing. A continuous engagement with media is something which should be encouraged.
What are the things required of the involvement of the continuation of a CSR program? In other words, what are the things we need for a continuation of a CSR program?
So one is funding, another is commitment.
Mhm.
Okay, a commitment to um, see a long-term vision and be associated with it. Because I think that is a worry of every other non-profit organization when they are seeking funding. That they do, it's good to get more and more funding, but more important it is that there is one particular partner who is engaging themselves for one particular region for one particular cause.
Mhm.
The reason is, if you keep jumping from causes to causes, you're not creating real impact, you're just creating a ripple in the water,
Mhm.
right? So for continuation, it is a very important is commitment from the partner, the
Mhm.
funding from the partner, and having even right resources. That is very important. Most of the whether it's a corporate or whether it's a non-profit, I think everywhere it's the same case, that you have employees move from one organization to another organization, right?
Mhm.
Usually when the leadership change, then also the focus of where you're investing money, that changes. And that's the reason, at least in India, what we are doing right now is, because we have a CSR rule in place anyway,
Mhm.
we are engaging, or we are encouraging corporate partners to engage with one particular NGO at
Mhm.
least for 3 years, minimum for 3 years,
Mhm.
so that that NGO is getting a committed, continued resource. Resources in terms of money, resources in terms of technical partners, because
Mhm.
if the money is coming in, it is easier to retain the employees,
Mhm.
right? And even if the employees change on the corporate side, you have a signed agreement, right? Where
Mhm.
they have a promised you continued support. So it's easier then in that sense.
Okay. What is your message for the audience before we finishing up this interview?
Okay. Um, CSR, like I said even earlier, it's not like an independent entity, right? It is something which we do sometime to feel good. It is done sometime for business advantages.
Mhm.
So whatever our intention might be, CSR is a one very powerful tool. It can work wonders if it is used wisely.
Mhm.
Okay, so when I say like that, it means that if you are approaching a CSR with a clear goals in mind, it is
Mhm.
easier to achieve those goals with the help of CSR. But what is most important when it comes to CSR is you need to learn first of all what it is, then
Mhm.
you need to unlearn what you have learned, and
Mhm.
then you need to relearn. Why? Because world is changing, and it's
Mhm.
changing very fast, so there is no one rule as such.
Mhm.
With this continuous dynamics, it is very important that you kind of move on with the global trends
Mhm.
and keep your CSR aligned with the core purpose along
Mhm.
with the global trends, and that is when you can achieve what you desire to achieve, and CSR can do its beautiful magic, I would say.
Thank you very much, Rupali, for your time and contribution. So hope to see you again in our next copy as well. So until that, take care. Goodbye.
Looking forward. Thank you, Christopher. Bye bye.